Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another round of Next Round Sports. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us here this week after had to take a week off last week. So, try to move kind of quickly through everything because we've got a lot to cover after missing a couple of weeks. So, probably be moving a little bit quicker than normal as we go through the podcast. So, once again, this is Chris Porter here with Caleb Golver and Jeff Amos. How you doing tonight, gentlemen?
Good.
Doing good, doing good.
All right. Well, we'll quickly here go through the NFL, mainly hitting last week's games and this coming up week, and just a quick look into how we're feeling with that. Of course, first game of that week was of our teams with Cincinnati and Cleveland, with Cincinnati getting the 21-14 win over the Cleveland Browns. Jeff, hey, you got the win. W is W, but yeah, it looked kind of rough.
Yeah, it's been a couple rough weeks for us. Really, both
But wins are
wins.
wins.
But I would say both. Are ugly wins. But at this point, all you can do is take wins at this point. But I still think we have some serious issues on this team from an offensive scheme standpoint, and as well as even a secondary and run defense as well. So, and then we have the Eagles next week, and I think it's going to be. I'm really concerned about trying to stop them from a running standpoint with Saquon Barkley, the way he's been playing this season, as well as really a three-headed monster that they have, and Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, and Dallas Goedert. So I think the more weapons that you provide a Bengals secondary, the worse it can be. So I'll have to say that the Eagles will probably get the dub this week.
Very true, especially with that run defense, unfortunately, against Saquon Barkley.
And yeah, Saquon Barkley is going to torch you. I mean, it's just what's going to happen because he's just on fire right now. But I think, with the way their defense has been kind of porous, you've got a chance, especially the way that, I mean, the Giants didn't do anything against the Giants, and they're terrible. But even though Cleveland's just as terrible, Cleveland was able to really keep that game close against Philly a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, and Deshaun Watson going down for the year. Cleveland fans cheered.
They cheered as you can see his leg wobbling as he took that step. Whenever it's a non-contact leg
it
injury,
didn't look good.
It's not good. And
was very
Achilles.
similar to last year's leg injury against the Ravens a little bit. Just hit awkwardly, I guess.
And really, the fans, you can't be cheering that. I understand that you don't like the guy or you don't like the way that he's playing, but still don't cheer for that. You got to be better. It's got to be better than that. But at the end of the day, that's where it is. And we'll see if Jameis Winston will bring the crab legs out there in Cleveland.
Yeah, he's going to have to try. Oh, man.
Yeah, because I see him starting next week because they'll be going against your Baltimore Ravens next week. So
But they will after two big wins. Well, one big win, I guess. The other one doesn't necessarily too surprising. Commanders, the Ravens beat the Commanders pretty good. Jaden Daniels looked pretty dang good and had a rookie record in his passing yards. But Lamar obviously winning that game behind Derrick Henry and Lamar themselves. And Zay Flowers
Jaden Daniels getting knocked out of last week's game after the first possession.
Yes, true.
With a rib injury. He's now game to game, day to day.
Hate to hear it because Washington's been a fun team to watch when you watch them this year. But we'll see how that goes. But then coming back into the Buccaneers game, Ravens getting two big key interceptions against Mayfield, making throws he never should have. While unfortunately, this was a very ugly game this is a horrible loss really for the Buccaneers is what I'm trying to say basically. Not only did you lose the game, you lose Mike Evans to a hamstring injury until possibly week 11 by Chris Godwin's leg. Another, please don't watch it, being carted off the field, season done. Injuries for them. So all of a sudden the Buccaneers are looking like a lion without teeth. And then, like I said, Baker Mayfield being Baker Mayfield of old, just throwing those two interceptions. But the Ravens offense still plugging along, doing what it's doing. Derrick Henry now with 873 yards. He's on pace to beat Eric Dickerson's season rushing record of 2,105 by posting 2,120. This will be the second time in Derrick Henry's career that he goes over 2,000 yards. Pretty crazy for a thing like I think Jeff mentioned off camera or off before we started for a 30-year-old to do. But I mean, you can't say enough about the Ravens rush defense this year. They're going to set all kinds of records. And they're probably going to set the streak for most consecutive rushing yards in a game with 100 plus. I think they need 2 more games to do that. But meanwhile, all the great you can talk about, I should say, excuse me, Lamar Jackson had another 5 touchdowns. That's his second time this year doing that. So he's having a heck of a year himself. But
Well,
as
top
much as you can talk
runners
about
for
that
MVP,
offense,
along with Derrick Henry. I mean, it's a battle between the two of them, really.
pretty much at this point, especially if Jaden Daniels misses any times. But this defense for the Ravens still, it's got to get better. I'm thinking it's either schemes or play calling at this point because you got all pro players out there. Now, I blame Wiggins a lot of times, but he did have a very good defensive play late in the game, fourth quarter. That could have made a little bit of a difference, I think, later on. Because for some reason, onside kicks work against the Ravens, even though you have to tell the team you're onside kicking now. The rest of the league has had no successful kickoffs against any team except the Ravens. So there you go. But
Do you
yeah,
believe
our
that the
defense.
Ravens? You believe they'll be looking for any defense